Hi folks, I'm Sean McCormick. I'm a commercial photographer from Galway in the west of Ireland. And on this channel we talk about Lightroom on Tuesdays and we talk about photo stuff on Fridays and other days of the week. If this is the kind of stuff that interests you, you should think about subscribing to the channel. Today we're going to look at the web module in Lightroom and look at the default galleries that come with it. Hi folks, I've looked at lots of the other modules, well mostly library and develop, and I've looked at slideshow as well, but I haven't really looked at the other modules properly. Now I have loads of videos on web galleries I've created, but these are specifically about the default galleries that are inside Lightroom. So let us jump on in there and we go to web, which is all the way over the end here. And you click on that, and so if you're coming in for the first time you should see this one here, which is the classic gallery. So the classic gallery has been around for ages and ages, so I'm going to go through the ones that are here that are belong to Adobe themselves, and you can just have a quick look and see how you can use them and get them out for use. This is the classic gallery. So layout style is where you choose them. So you've got classic, grid, you've got square and track. So those are the default ones that are there. These are the ones that I have created or have gotten, like the client response gallery, which is an older one. And you can find more galleries online by clicking here. But let's just look at classic initially. So in here you've got site info, my photographs, and you can see that these match stuff that's on here. In fact, you can actually click in and change it here. So we could call food. Portfolio 2018, so you could just put in whatever you want. A sample of my food photography. Now some of this is not from 2018, those ones there are actually older, much older. So just in case you're wondering, because they're probably like 10 years old or something like that. Right, so they're going to come in here, and so you can see that the default look here is a small grid. We'll come to the grid in a minute. But we can see that we've changed things here and that they've changed here. So I can go in here, change the contact name, so email Sean, put that in here, and then to actually put in the address there, you can put web and or mail link. Oh, sorry, and see the way it's got mail to, that means that it's a username, so you'd have to have the .com and stuff like that in there. Okay, so that's just the basics, just to show you that. You can also have the identity plate here, so when you do the identity plate, it goes up on top here. Alright, so now the one I have doesn't really sit with the colors that are here, but that's fine, we will go and change them. So that brings us to the color palette. So in the color palette you do change all of these text details. So for example, I'm going to make the text black here, and the detail text, so you could have say like a dark grey if you wanted that, and I'm actually going to change the background to white, and I'm going to make the cells themselves a bit lighter as well to go with that. And of course when you roll over it changes colour. Now the colour rollover at the moment is similar, so if we go for a darker colour on rollover, it may not show here because there is something funny with some of the way that hovering works when these are exported. It's to do with the way they're coded. I can't really change that. Alright, so keep working on a color palette here. If you want to get rid of, there's things like if you want to, the grid lines, you can kind of hide them by making them the same color as the text as well if you want. So I had the cells that color as well. You can essentially create something with no cells if you wanted to do that. And you can turn it off, the cell numbers, but you can also change the color so that they're invisible that way as well. So that's an alternative. We'll come to that in a second. So I've hidden most of the stuff. The detail mat is when you click in, right? When you click into it, so that's this detail mat, so it's the colors that are around there. So you might want to match the background on that, for example, as well there to create it all white if you want to have a kind of a minimalist look. So that is the color palette. The next thing is appearance. So you can have drop shadows on the photo. So this little drop shadow, you can turn them on and off. Okay, you can have section borders. So those are those lines up above and below. So you can turn them on and off. And I just want to check if the border's there. No, the borders aren't there, but the grid lines are there. And so you can turn off the drop shadow as well if you just want it to be kind of plain. Drop shadows are kind of a little bit noughties, which is when this was written originally. So you may want to get rid of drop shadows and just have that flat look, because flat is actually probably a little bit more popular now. So grid pages, so you literally will drag out the grid for the way you want it. Now it's not showing us anything here because we're in the detail mat, but see we've got a little exclamation mark, and that's telling us that we're not going to see that. If we click on it, well, it usually tells you something, but it's not. Yeah, there we go. No, it's not telling us, but basically we need to be in the index to see any changes here. So actually our rollover has updated as well, so that's good. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to change the rollover to that lighter color as well. And has it changed here yet? Yes, it has. That's good. All right. So if we wanted to go for this 5 by 10, for example, there, so we could show pretty much everything that I've got in here. It automatically generates the required number of pages. So if I have only 17 images, if I do this, it goes automatically back down to just one page. And we can hide the cell numbers if we want as well. You can have photo borders or not. So you can have a border and you can change the color. So we could put in like a light grey border if we wanted, or even lighter than that, so it's just giving us something very basic. You can also change the size of the images, and so to be on, this is the exclamation mark as well, you need to be on the detail page to see the size of the detail ones changing. From a modern point of view, it's actually very poor to have really, really small images. You want larger images, and in fairness I would put in, you know, something a little bit more common. I would put it in directly like that. So you can have the borders here as well for that. So that's on the image pages, right? So it's after jumping up to be much larger. Go back 9. That was because I was still on it. 960. It's not letting me do it. Alright, okay. My pen has caught it and now it's moving with it, so escape out of there. Come on. Don't you love when that happens when you're showing things off? Again, the photo border and color here, these are for inside the image cells themselves. Okay. So now the title and caption is something that you're allowed to have on the image itself. Alright, so the title will just pull from the title. In this case here I could say pull the file name, and that shows over the top. And then if there's a caption, it will show under the bottom, so I'm just going to say stick equipment there because then it'll just show it on the top. So that's obviously an older image because I'm shooting on Fuji these days. Alright, so you can mess around with this to do a little bit more formatting than that, but we're not going to cover that here. That's just something that can be done as well. The watermarking can be here, so we can see it's just a simple one, but you can have whatever you want. So let's say I could have this one here instead, so it just puts in that logo, and that's just standard watermarking, right? You can set standard sharpening. These are applied on output, so that's saying that these images here are not the sharpened images, just to let you know that. And just go to the next image, go on a couple of images here. So something a little bit more current, which is more current in what I'm actually shooting. And then the final thing is you can get it up online by setting up the FTP server here. Okay, now this is something that I will do as a separate video just for the FTP server. And the other way to get it out is you can go export, which will create a copy of it on your drive as a folder. And then upload will try and send it through the FTP server. It can be a bit hit or miss. Personally, I prefer to use an external FTP program because it has way more control. And I use a thing called droplets as well, which makes it quicker for me. So if I was to click export, it would then go to a folder, and then you would give it a name, so I could call it Food 18 or something like that, and then it will create this gallery and export it. So I'm not going to do that now. Actually, no, I will do that now so you can see what the other looks like. Let's not do that. Let's do Food-18 or something like that then. Don't overwrite what's already there. So what will happen is that will go and that will export it, and it'll come up here and it'll go save web photo gallery. Okay, so as you can see here, we've got a kind of a preview here of what the actual thing looks like. And as we hover over these template browsers, so we can see ones that have already been created to give you different kind of color schemes and stuff like that. So you use them at the start. Now, when you are done here and you've got the look you want, there's two things to do really, right? The first thing is you save a template here. So I could call this plus, and it's going to go and use my template. I'm going to call this white classic food, just so that I know which one I've used it for example. Okay, yeah, those files are missing because they're actually on a drive that's not connected at the moment. So click create. So that's the layout saved, but not the order of the photos. If you want to save it to get at it again, create saved web gallery, Food 18 gallery. Alright, you can save it inside the food portfolio, which I have there already. Okay, and that will come up, and we'll see here that this has this little symbol here, which has got the little grid to show that that's actually a gallery, to let you know that that is actually a gallery. All right. Now, if you go away and select another one of these galleries, like say grid, for example here, if I select grid gallery, it will create a new thing based on the standard grid settings. But if I go back to classic, it will have completely forgotten everything that I've done before, right? That is why it's essential that you save stuff. So if I go click on my white classic food, this will bring it back to where it was. Okay, now it seems to have forgotten the grid though in this for some reason, the way the grid was. But if I go down here to my collection, which is like here, if I click on that, in theory it should bring me back. Okay, so that's how you save them, right? So now let's jump on to grid itself. Grid is very, 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 very basic, all right? So you can change the title, the author, and the URL. All right, the author URL. So in this case here, it's not clickable, even though that's actually easy to do in the coding, because I write web galleries. So you could call this food. Food gallery author Sean McCormack. And if you wanted here, you're going to get the author, and I could actually put in, say, the mail to there, for example. Mail to user at domain. That's just a sample. All right, okay, and that becomes clickable then. All right, so if they click on that, that'll go to open an email. If you could have it as a URL, it would actually just go to a website, for example. All right. So the things you can change here are the background color. Okay. It's not clicking on me there. Come on, click, take. Text, you can change the text color obviously as well. Like I say, this is very, very basic what you can do with this, and you can change the icon color and for little icons that show up when you have them here. So you can change the thumbnail size, the border thickness, whether or not there's shadows, drop shadows, how many pages you want it to be. So if you wanted to have more than one page, you could have multiple pages. So it'll automatically, it'll turn on this item. So if I go multiple pages and I want like 10 images per page, it'll automatically create that second page. You can show the header or not. So that's the header. And the floating header just means if you've got lots of images in here, it'll stay up on the top all the time. Again, if we go into a detailed view, we can see here that the title, because I don't have any title or caption actually on these, it'll put the title and text below the actual image itself. And then of course you have the image quality. You can have what metadata it goes out with the image, and then you can have your copy of whatever watermark you want on those. So again, if I wanted to have one of the orange logos, it would go on there. Again, sharpening, and then the same FTP server. Now again, if you want to save the look, save it as a template for using in other galleries, and then you come up to the top and save it as a gallery itself. And let's go there for a second. Because if we don't, well, this is saved, so it's actually changing that now. Because we've gone here and changed this, it's actually changing inside the gallery, and it's going to be remembered as it goes. So that's getting changed, so just watch for that. And the other thing we're going to do is very quickly is the square gallery. Basically, it's almost exactly the same, just have a little bit of extra info that you can put in here. And as we can see here, that it crops all the thumbnail squares. That's where it gets the name. And then the final one is the track gallery, which just makes it look like a track of images. So it's like the square gallery, except that you get those full-length thumbnails. And it just runs a track of images, center track of images. Again, it just goes back, it doesn't have the extra info. It's just, you know, gallery, author, URL, a few little bits of things that you can change. You can change the row height, so that's this height here. And you can change the row spacing, so that's just, I'll literally show it to you. So if you wanted bigger height, you could have it. And let's say you wanted large spacing, it just gives you a bigger gap between them. The header again is the same, either it's locked up on the, let me just create something really big for a second, so that way we have to kind of paginate. So floating header, and the floating header seems to have messed with the row height there though, so let's go with that. And then as we scroll down, well, it's not letting us scroll there anyway. Nope, it's not letting me scroll. Oh, there we go. All right. Floating header is supposed to make it stay. At least that's what it was. But instead it's just resetting everything. I guess I'm finding... Oh, great. Now it's just turning on. I love when you find out these things as you're doing a video. Anyway, actually I'll go and test that properly. Anyway, again, for your large images, which is when you click and zoom in, so these kind of come up on top. They're basically hiding what's got underneath. So you choose the size or the quality here. You choose what watermark you want on there, the same as before, and that's pretty much it. So that is the main galleries that are inside of Lightroom itself. So why would you want to use these galleries? Well, I should really point out that to use these galleries properly, you need to have your own hosting. Now, there are free hosts out there. You're better off with your own host because you've got better control and you're not dealing with ads and things like that. But it's definitely better to have your own hosting. It allows you to put up galleries directly, so you could, let's say you've just done an event, it allows you to put up a quick version of the gallery to send to people so that you're not putting it up on social media. You've got better access, and it means that you can look at the analytics and see who's coming through. So that really is why you would do it. It's just to have control. Now, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and hit the notification bell. Do keep an eye on the channel list as well, because even though you've got notifications on, it doesn't always mean that you're actually going to get notified. Folks, thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I will see you in the next one.